Welcome students to massive open online course on Indian economy. Today I am going to discuss the module entitled Multidimensional Poverty in India. After completing this module, you are able to understand two approaches of the measurement of the multidimensional poverty. One is global approach, another is Indian approach. You are also able to know the trends of multidimensional poverty measured by these two approaches. Side by side, this model also help you to understand the trends and dynamics of the multidimensional poverty across different subgroups of the population. Present module consists with 6 sections. Section 1 is introduction. Section 2 highlights the background of the analysis of the trends of multidimensional poverty in India. Section 3 explains the measurements of multidimensional poverty following two different approaches. One is Indian approach, another is global approach. And section 4 is the trends of the measurement of the multidimensional poverty in terms of H, A and MPI. And section 5 explains the dynamics of the multidimensional poverty among different subgroups of the population. And finally, section 6 makes some concluding observations. Poverty generally measured in unidimensional concept. But along with unidimensional concept, another concept is the multidimensional concept of the measurement. The basic difference between these two concepts of measurement or these two frameworks of the measurement of the poverty is the dimensions. In case of unidimensional measure, the indicator is only one and it is per capita income or expenditure. Whereas in case of multidimensional measurement of poverty, income or expenditure are not considered. Rather, multidimensional measurement of poverty is based on the deprivation. And generally, the multidimensional measurement of poverty considered the dimensions like education, health and standard of living. As multidimensional poverty incorporated the deprivation in different dimensions as well as indicator, therefore, the terminology is treated here as multidimensional measurement of poverty. A.K. Sen in 1985 was one of the first scholars to challenge the notion of the poverty based on the income. That is, A.K. Sen argued that the income measure of poverty or unidimensional measurement of the poverty is not the true reflection of the well-being of the population. And he argued that income is only one of the possible ways to escape poverty and a nation should focus on eliminating other form of deprivation. Therefore, there is a need to identify and aggregate the dimensions of poverty, and this leads to develop a multidimensional measurement of poverty, and that can adequately reflect the deprivations that individuals face. Now we come to the background of the analysis of the trends of the multidimensional poverty in our country. It is true that in terms of income or growth, India witnessed a significant development. In terms of gross domestic product, in case of India, it experienced a 6 to 7% growth rate per year in the mid-90s. And India also reached 9 to 10% growth rate in the mid-2000. That is, India has experienced relatively high growth rate. But it is important to examine the trends of multidimensional poverty to see whether this growth of per capita income is inclusive or equitable or not. It is also equally important to see whether it has reduced or widened the gap between regions, rural and urban areas, and social groups. Side by side, Government of India also introduced different policies and programs to overcome different forms of deprivation and poverty in our country. And some of these programs are like MG Narega, National Food Security Act, Public Distribution System, etc. Therefore, it is crucial to examine the trends of multidimensional poverty in India, specifically during the recent periods. There was the evidence of the measurement of the multidimensional poverty in our country. Thus, et al. In their research paper in the 2021, they have also estimated the multidimensional poverty as well as unidimensional poverty in our country on the basis of NSSO unit level data, National Sample Survey unit level data for the years 2005-06 and 2011-12. Very recently, in the year 2021, NITI Aayog also estimated multidimensional measurement of poverty, and they have used National Family Health Survey data. But in our country, there was the lack of the information to analyze the trends of poverty in respect of different sections of our country or in respect of different regions of our country. To fulfill this gap, we have made an attempt to analyze the trends of poverty in our country, and in our research paper, we have able to estimate it, the trends of multidimensional poverty during the period 2005-06 and 2019-21. And this research paper is highlighted here as Das, Ghosh and Paria 2023. And in this research paper, we have analyzed the trends of multidimensional poverty in India. And this study is the first of its kind that attempts the gap of the analysis of the trends of poverty in respect of India. And in this analysis, we have measured the multidimensional poverty by considering different subgroups of the population, say rural and urban location of the people, poverty across different social groups, say scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, other backward caste, and general caste category people. We have also estimated the multidimensional poverty across different religions as well as across different states in our country. In the measurement of the multidimensional poverty, we have used two different approaches. One approach is related with NITI Aayog. They have measured the multidimensional poverty in our country in the year 2021, and this approach is treated as the India's approach. Another approach is the global approach, which is used by United Nations Development Program in their Human Development Report. But both these approaches used the Alkire-Foster methodology to measure the multidimensional poverty. There are different similarities and dissimilarities of these two approaches in respect of the measurement of the multidimensional poverty. And both the methods use three dimensions: education, health, and standard of living. In India's MPI approach has 12 indicators, whereas Global MPI has 10 indicators. India's MPI adds maternal health, that is health dimension, and access to bank account in the standard of living dimension. Nutrition and child adolescent mortality indicators are based on Global MPI in the health dimensions. Maternal health is unique in India's MPI in the health dimension. And each indicator has equal weight in the global MPI, but different weights in India's MPI. The cutoff for deprivation of different indicators are also different in India's approach as well as in the global approach. In case of global MPI approach, they considered all household members below 70 years for the nutrition, whereas in India's MPI approach, they considered children below the 5 years and working age men and women. Global MPI approach considers children below 5 years to measure child mortality, whereas India's MPI approach considered the children of the age group 0 to 59 months and adolescents age group 10 to 18 years. On the basis of these indicators and dimension, we can able to measure the multidimensional measurement of poverty. This table highlights the dimension and indicators of the multidimensional measurement of poverty which are used in the India's multidimensional measurement of poverty approach. And in this India's MPI approach, there are 3 dimensions: education, health and standard of living. And education dimension consists with 2 indicators, schooling and school attendance. Health dimension consists with 3 indicators, nutrition, child adolescent mortality and maternal health. Whereas standard of living consists with electricity, sanitation, drinking water, housing, cooking fuel, asset and bank account. 7 indicators. That is, there are 12 indicators to measure the multidimensional poverty in our country. Side by side, here we have also estimated the percentage share of deprived people in these 12 indicators in 3 years, 2005-06, 2015-16 and 2019-21. And this estimation also based on the information available in the National Family Health Survey data corresponding these 3 specific years. And among these 12 indicators, the deprivation was relatively high in nutrition, housing and cooking fuel, whereas the higher reduction was observed in case of sanitation and bank account as well as electricity. The India's approach of multidimensional measurement of poverty is also important because here different indicators are related with different sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals are the objective which will be achieved by the member countries of United Nations by the year 2030. Therefore, our approach, that is Indian national approach of the multidimensional poverty, also helpful to analyze the trend of the progress in respect of the sustainable development goals. Here the health indicators address sustainable development goal 3 related with health and well-being and sustainable development goal 2 which is related with hunger and nutrition, whereas education indicators address sustainable development goal 4 which is related with quality education and lifelong learning. The standard of living indicators address sustainable development goal 6 which is related with clean water and sanitation, as well as sustainable development goal 7 which is related with affordable and clean energy, and sustainable development goal 10 which is related with reducing inequality. Whereas maternal health parameter assigns importance to sustainable development goal 3 and the broader development. Bank account indicator enables financial inclusion and it addresses the sustainable development goal 10. That is, different indicators of the measurement of the sustainable development goals in India's approach related with a number of sustainable development goals. Now we come to the measurement of the multidimensional poverty. The detailed methodology of the measurement of the multidimensional poverty are discussed in section 4 of the module 35 entitled Estimates of Poverty. Therefore, in this module we are not going into detail of the methodology of the measurement of the multidimensional measurement of poverty. Rather, here we can highlight three basic indicators of the multidimensional measurement of poverty. One is H, another is A, and third one is MPI. These three are the important components of the multidimensional measurement of poverty. H means multidimensional headcount ratio, A means multidimensional intensity of poverty, and MPI stands for multidimensional poverty index. H is measured as the percentage share of multidimensionally poor people to total people. Therefore, it may be treated as headcount ratio of the multidimensional poverty. Whereas A is the average intensity of the deprived people. A is a measurement of at what extent multidimensionally poor people are deprived. Therefore, A is called average deprivation of multidimensionally poor people. And MPI is the multidimensional poverty index, which is actually the product of these two indicators. One is H and I. Therefore, MPI equal to H into I. These three important measurements, H, A and MPI, are the basis of our analysis to discuss the trends of the multidimensional poverty in our country across different regions, different subgroups of population, as well as whole of the country. These figures help us to understand the trend of multidimensional poverty during the period 2005-6 to 2019-21. Here we have used the estimated value of the two approaches. One is Indian approach, another is the global approach. According to the Indian approach, the percentage share of multidimensionally poor people, which is treated as age, reduced from 55.2% in the year 2005-6 to 13.3% in the year 2019-21. Whereas, following global approach, the multidimensional headcount ratio decreased from 55.8% to 16.8% during the same period. As regards multidimensional intensity of poverty, that is A, in case of Indian approach, the multidimensional intensity of poverty decreased from 54.5% in the year 2005-6 to 44.2% in the year 2019-21. Whereas, following global approach, the multidimensional intensity of poverty decreased from 50.9% to 41.9% during the same period. Multidimensional Poverty Index MPI is a unit-free measure. In India, its value also decreased from 0.284 in the year 2005-6 to 0.059 in the year 2019-21 following the measurement of Indian approach. In case of global approach, its value also reduced during this period. But if we compare the trends of the reduction of different indicators of the multidimensional poverty in between these two approaches, that is global approaches and Indian approaches, then we can say that the H, multidimensional headcount ratio, and MPI have experienced relatively faster reduction in Indian approach compared to the global approach. Whereas in case of multidimensional intensity of poverty is relatively high in global approach compared to the Indian approach. And from this trend analysis, it is also true that the space of reduction of the multidimensional poverty, irrespective of the indicators, that is age, I and MPI, the speed of reduction was relatively high during the later period, that is during the period 2015-16 to 2019-21. And this may be attributed to various government schemes and initiatives such as Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, Ayushman Bharat, Swachh Bharat Mission, etc., that have improved the access and quality of basic services for the poor people. Now we come to the section 5, which analyzes the trends and dynamics of the multidimensional poverty by considering different subgroups of the population. Here we have considered 4 alternative types of subgroups of population. One is rural and urban region, another is social caste, religions, and across states. In case of rural and urban multidimensional poverty, which is measured in Indian approach, the level of multidimensional poverty was relatively high in rural region compared to the urban region, irrespective of the indicators of the multidimensional poverty. That is, age, A and MPI, the values of all these 3 indicators are relatively high in the rural region compared to the urban region. There is the estimated value of the multidimensional poverty in rural and urban India in these 3 years. In case of multidimensional headcount ratio, 68.7% people in rural India were multidimensionally poor in the year 2005-06, which significantly reduced to 17.3% in the year 2019 and 21. Whereas in case of urban India, its value is relatively low, and it was 25.2% in the year 2005-06, which reduced to 4.8% in the year 2019-21. Side by side, it is also true that the gap between rural and urban areas has narrowed down over the time in respect of age and MPI, and that indicates that there is the convergence in the estimated value of the multidimensional measurement of the poverty. Along with the location, rural and urban, here we have also estimated the multidimensional poverty across social groups, that is for scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, other backward caste, and general caste people. And here the ST people has the highest values of age, A and MPI in all 3 years, followed by the scheduled castes, OBC, and general caste respectively. For scheduled tribes, the percentage share of multidimensional poor people was very high, 80.4% in the year 2005-06, which reduced to 25.3% in the year 2019-21. In case of general caste category people, it was 38.3% in the year 2005-06, which reduced to 7.9% in the year 2019-21. Similarly, irrespective of the social castes, age, I, A and MPI also reduced during this period. But if you consider the space of reduction or the speed of reduction of different social caste, then we can observe that the ST have reduced their age by 55.1 percentage points, and A by 13.9 percentage points, and MPI by 0.362 percentage points during 2005-6 to 2019-21, whereas in case of scheduled castes, the reduction was 49.8% for age, 10.5% for A, and 0.292 for MPI. In case of other backward caste, the reduction was 46.1% for age, 10.3% for A, and 0.261 for MPI. In case of general caste people, the reduction of age was 30.4%, reduction of A was 9.2%, whereas reduction of MPI was 0.166. Now, if you consider the extent of reduction across different subgroups, then we can say that the extent of reduction was relatively high for ST people compared to the general caste people, which implies the convergence nature of the trend of the multidimensional poverty among different social castes in India. Now we discuss the trends of the multidimensional poverty across different religions. And among the different religions, Sikh has the lowest MPI value, and this value is 0.017 in the year 2019 and 21, and the lowest multidimensional headcount ratio 4.1% in the same year, followed by Christian, whose MPI value was 0.04, and multidimensional headcount ratio was 9%. In case of others, it was 0.056 and 12.6% for headcount ratio. Whereas in case of Hindu, the multidimensional headcount ratio was 12.9% and overall MPI was 0.057. In case of Muslim, the share was highest and it was 17.4% for age and 0.079 for MPI. This means that Sikhs and Christians have the lowest levels of multidimensional poverty and the lowest proportion of the poor people among the religions. And Muslim has the highest MPI value and the highest age value in 2019 and 21, followed by Hindu, other religions, Christian and Sikhs. This means that Muslim has the highest level of multidimensional poverty and the highest proportion of the poor people among the religions. Here we have also discussed the trend of the multidimensional poverty across different states in our country, and this is called the spatial analysis of the multidimensional poverty. The spatial analysis of the multidimensional poverty help us to understand the relative position of different states in respect of the multidimensional poverty. From our estimation, we have observed that in the year 2005-6, age was relatively high, that is more than 75% in 6 states, and these states are Jharkhand, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. Whereas multidimensional headcount ratio was relatively low, that is less than 25% in 3 states like Goa, Delhi and Kerala. And this age, A and MPI were reduced over time across all states in our country, but the space of the reduction varies from one state to another state. And in 2019-21, Bihar is the state with highest H and MPI, followed by Jharkhand, Meghalaya, Uttar Pradesh, Assam and Madhya Pradesh. Likewise, in the year 2019-21, Kerala continues to have the least MPI with a score 0.02, followed by Goa with score 0.03. And these 2 states, specifically Kerala and Goa, able to reduce their headcount ratio less than 1%. That is, these two states able to overcome the multidimensional headcount ratio. Other states with low level of multidimensional headcount ratio are Tamil Nadu, Sikkim and Delhi, where the percentage share of headcount ratio in the year 2019 and 21 was 2%, 2.7% and 3.8% respectively. After analyzing the trends of the multidimensional poverty in respect of different subgroups of the population, we can say that there was a remarkable progress in the reduction of the multidimensional poverty irrespective of the location of the people, social status or social caste of the people, religions as well as states of India. Side by side, it is also true that a large section of the people are also deprived in a number of indicators. Therefore, to overcome the problem of multidimensional poverty, specific programs and policy are important to eliminate the deprivation of different indicators. If we are able to eliminate the deprivation of different indicators, then we are able to overcome the multidimensional poverty as well as we are able to achieve the sustainable development goals. Thank you.